Would you rather stab a photo of your family 5 times or stick your hand in a jar full of cockroaches? According to one scientist, your answer may predict how likely you are to believe in conspiracy theories, UFOs, and a whole host of magical beliefs. And more importantly, it reveals something about why Americans are so divided.
I don't think American politics are simply divided between left and right, between red states and blue states. Rather, I think there's another dimension, intuitionists and rationalists.
Area 51. It's been ground zero for UFO conspiracy theories for decades.
Classified experiments involving extraterrestrial technology.
Today, we're headed to the top secret Air Force base with a group of true believers to learn what aliens have to do with intuitive thinking.
We're headed to the back gate to the base. For many, many years, the government simply denied its existence.
Anything that talks about UFOs, it never enters mainstream media.
It's the biggest secret there is. They work together, the government and extraterrestrials.
It's just a firm belief of mine. I have known since I was a kid.
These folks are what Eric Oliver refers to as intuitionists.
They go with their gut. They're attracted to symbols and metaphors. They orient their understanding around the world based on what they're feeling over scientific beliefs.
All of us are intuitionists to one degree or another. When you just have a feeling about something, that's your intuition talking.
Your hair standing up, that is your instinct.
When we feel anxious or afraid,
I got a bad feeling about this.
our brain conjures up stories that help explain why we feel the way we do and what we can do about it.
The last thing we need is bad luck.
These stories are examples of what psychologists call magical thinking. They might not hold up to scientific scrutiny, but they give us tools to restore our sense of control and manage our stress.
There are studies of people being deprived of control, being made to feel like they don't have control. And under those circumstances, people engage more with superstitious kind of views. Not only that, but people are more likely to endorse conspiracy theories. These are all manifestations of our desire to understand our environment and to feel like we can exert some control over it.
Professor Oliver had a hunch that some people are measurably more intuitive than others.
They say, E.T.
And those folks would be more prone to both magical thinking and conspiracy thinking. So he came up with a way to test his theory. First, he looked for signs for the type of anxiety that triggers magical beliefs.
So we asked people about apprehensive behaviors. How often do they check the locks on their doors and windows? Do they shred their bills before they throw them away?
Then he measured how significantly their emotions factored into their decision-making.
We posed a series of paired questions, like would you rather A, sleep in laundered pajamas once worn by Charles Manson, or B, pick a nickel off the ground and put it in your mouth?
In other words, would you rather do something symbolic that feels wrong or suffer a tangible punishment?
People who always will avoid the symbolic cost tend to be very high on our intuitionism scale. Their worldview is oriented around a lot of symbols and metaphors. So the last thing they want to do is sleep in laundered pajamas worn by Charles Manson.
Those people were also more likely to believe in conspiracy theories and magical ideas.
They're more likely to believe in ESP or horoscopes, herbal remedies, and alternative medicine.
According to Dr. Oliver, 2/3 of Americans at the extreme ends of his scale fall on the intuitionist side. So what about the other third?
We focus on scientific issues that can be resolved through evidence and reason and logic. With UFOs, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So not just a video of it, you have to actually show us a real spacecraft or the actual alien.
According to rationalists, the evidence on UFOs is not only lacking, but points to a different explanation. The first UFO sightings at Roswell took place in 1947, a time when Americans were primed for conspiracy thinking.
The Cold War was young and there was the threat of nuclear annihilation, and so anxieties about communists were heavy in the air. People are afraid of not just alien influences, but strange new weapons.
And while it's true that the government was very secretive about what was going on at Roswell, it had nothing to do with aliens.
There was a conspiracy at Roswell in that the US government did not want to disclose that it was monitoring Soviet nuclear tests. So it was very deceptive in the way it described the incident.
Nonetheless, UFOs made their way into the popular culture. Hollywood began churning out magical stories that helped explain away America's collective anxieties. And the idea of a government conspiracy to hide aliens has been lodged in our national psyche ever since.
In the 19th century, nobody was talking about UFOs. People only started talking about UFOs once science fiction writers started writing about UFOs.
Yeah, there's a feedback loop. The X-Files in the 1990s drew on a lot of stories people were telling, in conspiracy forums, and then the conspiracy forum people were in turn influenced by the sorts of things they saw in the X-Files.
So the rationalists are logical, and the intuitionists just watch too much TV, right? Not so fast. Rational thinking can only take us so far.
Science is a really difficult tool in a lot of ways because it doesn't provide much emotional comfort. Our supernatural beliefs, our conspiracy beliefs, these help us give meaning and order to the world.
There are blinking lights right up there you could see, and then there's another one. There's at least 4 of them.
We have to make room for empirically based verification, but we also have to make room for mystery of life. When we think about all that is good, so much has not been rational. I can't put love under a microscope. I can't explain all of the actions of altruism that exceeds our limited capacity of understanding.
The world needs both intuitionists and rationalists. But here's the problem. They often have a hard time understanding each other. The rationalists argue the evidence. The intuitionists argue their feelings. Both talk past each other, and those missed messages are increasingly dividing us.
People feel
it.
more threatened.
Yes, they feel it, but the facts don't support it.
I'll go with how people feel, and I'll let you go with the theoreticians.
Much of what seems like the difference between liberals and conservatives really isn't a difference of ideology about the scope of government. It's about a way of understanding the world.
Until both sides learn to understand each other better, it's going to be difficult to bridge the divide. So how do we do that?
If we want to bridge this gap, I think it's incumbent upon rationalists to begin to understand how intuitionists understand the world and begin to speak to them a little bit more in their terms.
Logic and knowledge are not enough.
For intuitionists, the challenge is being open to empirical evidence, even when it doesn't align with their gut instincts.
It can be tempting to trust our own wisdom better than mainstream authorities. These illusions of understanding can lead us to mistaken beliefs.
In our next episode, we'll explore how citizen journalism and a cognitive foible called the illusion of understanding are driving misinformation to the top of our news feeds.